Yeah, it is underwater, is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is
So there
underwater
was one
now.
movie I saw.
Yes.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, we will see why it went underwater and क्या है उसका सारा systems. I'll just share my screen. It's visible. Screen is visible.
Yes, Minocha.
Okay, great. So we are talking about Atlantis, and it was regarded as utopia, which is an imaginary society with near perfect qualities. In fact, in 1516, Sir Thomas More, in his book of the same name, he showed Utopia as an unbelievable place. And today we'll see why Atlantis is referred to as Utopia. Okay, the history of Atlantis, jo hai, it has been a very influential myth, you could say, and many later writers have used it for their works. And it's a really fascinating tale. It's a mixture of fantasy and science fiction. So Atlantis was an enormous island. And it was thought that Libya or Turkey, half of Libya, no, sorry, ancient Libya or half of Turkey को मिला के इतना बड़ा island था. And it was off the Strait of Gibraltar, जो Africa continent and European continent के बीच में है. It was 9 kilometers off the coast from there. And it was populated by a race of demigods who had very powerful kings who could trace their origins to Poseidon. Yes, this is the Strait of Gibraltar. And they could trace their origin to Poseidon, who was regarded as the god of the seas. So Poseidon was given this island, and we get information about Atlantis from a Greek philosopher, Plato. And he wrote 2 works, Timaeus and Critias, about Atlantis, nearly 2,400 years ago. So his time period was before BC में 424 to 328 में time था Plato का. And he described it as a very powerful and advanced kingdom which existed around 9,600 BC. इतना पुराना था वो. And it was considered to be an island where northern portions में mountains थे और center में एक बहुत बड़ा plain था. And its length is supposed to be almost more than 500 kilometers long and 350 kilometers wide. कुछ ऐसा इसकी proportions थी. That was what it was regarded as. Then what are the origins of this story? Plato, he heard the story of Atlantis from his grandfather. And grandfather had heard it from a statesman, Athenian statesman, Athens ka statements are Solon. And Solon was 300 years before Plato's time. And Solon had heard it from an Egyptian priest who had told him that it happened 9,000 years before that time. So quite an ancient thing it was, like it puts it even beyond our Ramayana wala time also. So whether Plato believed his own story or not, is jo grandfather ne boli, he used it to show that what an ideal society could be like. He used it in his works. So in that old story, jo unhone suni thi, Poseidon is supposed to have fallen in love with a human girl, Cleito, and together they had 5 pairs of twin sons. And the eldest of these was Atlas. Atlas is a more familiar name because Atlas ka mountain jo hai wo famous hai. So Atlas was made the king of Poseidon. And in fact, it's supposed that Atlantic Ocean was named after Atlas. So ये सारा area Atlas का ही था. But there was, as I said, a huge mountain on the island. So Poseidon carved from the mountain, he carved a palace for his family, for his love. This is a palace, you could say. He carved it out of that. So it was enclosed in 3 circular moats. जो palace बनाया था उसके आसपास moats बनाए गए थे, increasing size से, and they were separated by rings of land. मतलब इतना complicated सा उन्होंने बनाया था. And naturally they built bridges also to connect to the land. And they dug a tunnel also to connect to the sea. So that the moats जो थे ना हमेशा भरे रहते थे, पानी से ही भरे रहते थे. They never ran dry. And along with that canal, they also carved tunnels. बहुत सारे tunnel की network भी थी. And every, like they were very, it was a very gated sort of place. बहुत security थी, सारे gates, towers बने हुए थे. And there was a wall surrounding each part of the moat. जो ना सारे जो land portion थे सब पे solid walls construct हुए थे. And they used a lot of metals also to build those walls. So brass, tin, precious metal जो है ना cover किया हुआ था. At that time there was a very precious metal, orichalcum, and this is considered to be second to gold. Well, it's a precious metal, and its mines were only on Atlantis. और पूरे world में कहीं भी इस metal का mines नहीं समझ आया है. So we'll see later on why it's kaise we know that it is over there. So the Atlanteans जो थे ना, they created a very advanced civilization and they built enormous cities during that period. And even when the rest of the world was in the Neolithic stage, you could say, तब Atlanteans इतने advanced थे. And this island was self-sufficient, सब कुछ यहीं था. They raised livestock also, agriculture भी करते थे. There was a very well-maintained irrigation system. So there was like plenty over there. So हर कुछ का abundance था, resources का, खाने पीने का, सब चीजें का. And this metal जो थे orichalcum, it was also found in abundance over there. So it was regarded as a gold-red metal. So कुछ they say, scientists feel there was a mixture of copper in gold. Okay, now who originally settled in golden Atlantis? कौन थे जो वहां पे रहते थे? So it is believed that जो Atlantis inhabitants थे, they came from space, from the Lyrian star system. And what was so special about this Atlantis civilization was that it lasted for 240,000 years. The whole concept of so it is like really the longest civilization on Earth, you could say. And everyone, like most of the people in the present times, they have incarnated from that lifetime. तो किसी ना सब most people का connection कहीं ना कहीं Atlantis से है, and they hold that memory at the cellular level. So many times when you do a past life regression, you can find like somebody who is connected to that. They get glimpses of it. Now this whole जो Atlantis का था ना concept, it was a cosmic experiment on Earth. It was some sort of experiment done by the universe or the divine, whoever you want to see. And it was to see if spirits could enter a physical incarnation, क्या वो physical बन सकते हैं, go through the veil of amnesia, because when we are born, we lose our memory of what is beyond us as a soul. वो सारी memory हमारी खत्म हो जाती है. So it was to see if they could go through the veil of amnesia, experience emotions, sexuality, all the senses, and still maintain that spiritual oneness with God. So this was the experiment. Humans, how can they be humans and they still be connected to the divine? So a number of experiments were done, and then there was a period of 2000 years, which was an ice age. And during this period, that ice age period, the intergalactic council जो होती है, they planned the 5th and final experiment of golden age. मतलब उससे पहले experiment चल रहे थे, नहीं हुए, successful नहीं हुए, खत्म हो गए, फिर हो गए. So now the one we are connected to was the 5th experiment. And this was regarded as the most glorious spiritual time on earth, kisi ka bhi. So approximately 20,000 BC ke aspas, literally a call was given into the universe for volunteers to take part in this final experiment of Atlantis. उन्होंने invite किया कि who would like to be here. So millions, meaning there is life all over the universe, and वहां से a call was given कि come and join the experiment. So millions responded. Everyone wanted to have a chance to be over here, but only 64,000 people were selected. And this number is important. इसको बाद में भी हम देखेंगे. We'll see this later, what the significance of this number is. So along with this Atlantis experiment, there were other experiments also being conducted all over the planet, but each had a different purpose. So the reason why Atlantis was so special was it was different from the other trials. जो बाकी अर्थ में हो रहे थे उससे बिल्कुल different था. It was like a controlled experiment. And there was what is said is that there was a dome placed over it and no one could enter or over there. जो इसको cover किया हुआ था dome, उसके अंदर कोई घुस नहीं सकता था. And most important was during this period, there was extraordinary spiritual technology available. बहुत spiritual growth हुई थी, which is even beyond our imagining कि ऐसा भी possible हो सकता है. So for 1500 years, this experiment was very successful. What they wanted was achieved. So for that period of 1500 years, people vibrated at the fifth dimensional frequency. जो ना अब हम कहते हैं fifth dimension, तो उस time they रहते ही उसी में थे. And their energy was so pure that their chakras simply glowed. सारे okay ना? And they were all full of joy, vitality. And everyone lived in cooperation, harmony. Everything was done for the highest good, but like an ideal society that you can imagine. And they maintained this high frequency, which allowed them to have that oneness with the universe also. So everything was like totally amazing at that time. Awesome, jisko kehte hain, awesome spiritual technology thi. And people could live to an average of 800 years. And they possessed a lot of supernatural powers. And they were literally like a mix of God and human. Na? To sab kuch possible ho raha tha. So now how did they maintain their high frequency? उसमें कैसे vibrate करते थे? So they lived very simple, fun-filled lives. Mostly nature से connected रहते थे वो. And they spend a lot of time relaxing, contemplation में, socializing में. काम बहुत कम होता था, ज़्यादातर relaxation और fun ही होता था. And because why it was fun? Because they did what they loved. So when you do what you are loving, it is fun for you. And that is what they did. And unke jo gifts and talents, they were recognized from an earlier age, developed and honored. So everyone was doing what they could do the best and loved doing the best also. Then they also honored all life forms. So there was no fear between humans or between animals and humans. Koi fear ka tha hi nahi. Everything was pure and fresh, air, water, food, sab kuch. So that developed very positive mindsets. So there were no negative words in their vocabularies, no words for the past or future also. They lived just in the eternal present. It was just present all the time. And they were important of all, their hearts were open to love. So they were very pure beings, you could say. And you know, at that time, the priesthood bhi thi, so they created high frequency pools of energy. So it was something like that. The energy pools form ho jate the, in which people could enhance their own energy. So kisi ko kuch bhi up and down feel ho raha tha, they used to go and get a sort of, used to bathe in that high frequency pool. And this also helped to manifest their visions. It empowered them so much that they could manifest. Then isme there was a great temple of Poseidon, which was built on a little on a higher side, mountains, koi mountain ke upar tha. And it was also regarded as an intergalactic portal, so that people could communicate or go also to the other realms. Intergalactic unki access thi. And in this temple was placed a huge crystal rock, you could say. This was a pure source of energy. This was placed in their temple. So it was like a central power generator, which provided that powerful energy to the people. So it was regarded as a supercomputer, you could say. So which could power a very high frequency internet service, which was connecting all the people. And now it is believed that this crystal, it lies in the center of the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know how true that is, but that is a fact I came across, that it is now lying at the center of the Bermuda Triangle, which is another very great mystery on this earth. Okay, so now the Atlanteans, they had a very special relationship with water. They loved water. They understood its cosmic properties. It was regarded as a cosmic cleanser, which purified right down to the cellular level. So flowing water was considered to soothe the emotions, sabko shant kar deta tha, and it used to open up spiritual and psychic potential. And now also you see we have the trend of going for a dip in the holy rivers, going to any sarovars to have a dip. So abhi bhi hamare man mein wo hai ki water purifies us, cleanses us, and somehow we get more connected to the spiritual side. So they believed it a lot, and they knew they could use it to change situations. So people love to swim in the streams or rivers mein khub swim karte the. And it was a very popular pastime, you could say. Uske side mein baith ke picnics ke liye jate the, boating karte the. Matlab they used to love it. And they used to love communicating with the dolphins also. उनके लिए स्पेशल पूल्स भी बना रखे थे डॉल्फिन्स को रखने के लिए. You know, dolphins were really revered in the time of Atlantis. They were regarded as divine beings, very wise ones. And they are supposed to have come from the star system Sirius to teach over here. So they can give telepathically, they can give guidance, technological knowledge, because बहुत advanced system है, wisdom देते हैं. So even now you can see that dolphins are considered to be very helpful, full of joy. And dolphins, they have the quality of connecting us to our soul energy. So dolphins are very like wonderful, very spiritual animals, you could say. Then every home, they were so fond of water, they revered it कि हर घर में और temples में भी there was a fountain or a pond जरूर होता था सबके घरों में. The houses were built around the central temple. Circles में बनाते थे, गोल को मोठ तो बनाया हुआ ही था round, तो वो ऐसे ही बनाते थे. And canals used to flow through the house, like between them. And the water was very pure, clean. So it was like a constant blessing to them. And wherever underground streams crossed, जहाँ पे भी they knew where the underground streams were, उसके ऊपर they used to build stone circles. And that could help to bring special energies from the water on to spread all around Atlantis. So that is why the whole land was blessed, because they knew how to harness nature to increase their spirituality. Now the people on Atlantis, they had 12 chakras. We have heard of 7, but during this golden era of Atlantis, all the people, they had 12 chakras which were fully operational. सब काम करते थे और उनको they were like the normal जो हमारे हैं वो तो है ही, रूट से लेके क्राउन तक जो है. उसके अलावा जो है एक ऊपर above the head was the causal chakra, the soul star chakra, and the stellar gateway, which connected us completely with the universe. And below the base, the root chakra was the earth star, which is still functional a little, but बाकी जो है वो नहीं functional करते. Because when the frequency of Atlantis declined, 5 chakras shut down. 5 chakras जो है ना खत्म ही हो गए. So only a very few people nowadays have those chakras open, and they can access their true oneness जो होता है ना with the universe, वो उनके through access कर पाते हैं. Ab, it is expected to change, that now people will start opening their higher chakras to bring in that divine energy, to bring in that higher frequency, and to heal themselves and the earth. This is what it is considered to be important now. So it is very important for us to open these chakras, because usi root se hamara planet jo hai na, at the moment it's going down, it can be uplifted when we open our chakras. Okay, the people of Atlantic chakras hote hain DNA. So the people of Atlantis had 12 DNAs, 12 strands of DNA. And chakras and DNA are very closely connected. So in the golden times, Atlantis times, everyone knew how to relax deeply. Cellular level tak unki relaxation ho jati thi. And usi se wo unki connection jo hai na strong ho jata tha, DNA और chakras का. Within each nucleus of the chromosomes जिसमें DNA होता है, it's like a double helix. 2 chains of beads जो होता है ना, they're wrapped around each other. And there are thousands of genes within each double helix. ये जो सारे छोटे-छोटे दिखते, they are those genes जो होते हैं. And these genes contain our genetic coding. और ये coding क्या होती है? Your coding is a spiritual decision taken before birth, and it depends on your karma also, as to what challenges and lessons your soul wants to learn. तो वो हमारी पहले से ही कोडिंग डीएनए में हो जाती है बिफोर आवर बर्थ, कि हमने लाइफ में क्या सीखना है, क्या स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ करनी है. एंड दीज जो बीड्स हैं, चेन्स हैं, जो भी है, they are affected by our thoughts and emotions and the way you live your life. So हम जैसे रहते हैं, जैसे सोचते हैं, हम अपना डीएनए तक पे इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे हैं. So what is it that you want yourself to do? We can, like by watching our thoughts, by improving ourselves, we can affect our DNA. अब जब गोल्डन एरा था एटलांटिस का, तो all these जो थे बीड्स थे, कोडॉन्स थे, जो भी कहते हैं इनको, they lay open, relaxed होते थे, side by side होते थे. So all the connections were made. जो भी spiritual connections थे, they were all very powerful. So they were at a very great psychic level. बहुत spiritual abilities थी उनमें. But when Atlantis devolved, जब वो खत्म होने की पीरियड पे आ गया, ये strands ना tight हो गए. And they started twisting around each other. So जो beads थे ना, they could not connect properly. So सारे out of sync हो गए, and we lost our advanced spiritual qualities. It was a, you could say DNA में था हमारा, but because of our lifestyle, because of our thoughts, we lost those spiritual abilities. So now a maximum of them are lying dormant. But when we awaken our 12 chakras, तो ये सब activate हो जाएंगे. खत्म नहीं हुए हैं, they're just lying dormant, and there's still a possibility that they can be activated, and we can regain those psychic abilities जो पहले थे. अब इनके क्या qualities थी इनकी वजह से? अब ये जो 12 chakras और ये DNA जो ऐसा था, they endowed those people with very advanced psychic abilities, very high powers. उनका माइंड बहुत पावरफुल था, बहुत एडवांस्ड उनके साइकिक एबिलिटीज थी. दे वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग टेलीपैथिक स्किल्स थे. दे डिडंट नीड टू स्पीक टू एनीवन एट ऑल. टेलीपैथिकली दे कुड कम्युनिकेट इवन ओवर लॉन्ग डिस्टेंसेस. टेलीपैथिकली उनकी कम्युनिकेशन होती थी. दे कुड रीच ईच अदर्स थॉट्स, एंड व्हेन यू कैन रीच ईच अदर्स थॉट्स, तो आप नेचुरली उनको प्योर रखोगे. And so only positive messages or images were transmitted through their mind. And from childhood itself, बच्चों को भी सिखाया जाता था mind control कैसे करना है. And that is why they could focus their thoughts and they could move and materialize objects. मतलब इतनी power है हमारे thoughts में कि हम उसको focus करेंगे तो we can move भी कर सकते हैं and we can materialize things. कुछ भी हम सोचेंगे, like here they are all moving. People could also be, they could levitate, they could move around and then they could manifest things. जो आपको चाहिए आप उसको manifest कर लेते थे. So they could light up and program crystals. They could manifest what they wanted. But they used these powers for the highest good of all. कोई अपने लिए नहीं use कर सकता था. Then they had very strong healing powers, जो Atlantis में लोग थे. So they could see auras. उनकी intuition बहुत strong थी. So they were always aware of other people's feelings. And when you're aware of other people's feelings, ना आप में जो है compassion और caring बढ़ जाती है. So it promoted compassion and caring among the people. Nothing could be hidden. So everyone was very open and honest also with each other. And then they could control their energy field also. So they could levitate, ऊपर उठ सकते थे, bilocate, कहीं यहाँ से वहाँ भी पहुँच सकते थे, and even become invisible. These सारी capabilities थे in the ordinary people, and we also have that power, but unfortunately we've lost it. Then they used to meditate a lot, contemplation बहुत करते थे, and as their third eye was fully open, they could see spiritual realms, they could see angels, spirit guides, unicorns, nature spirits, and they could communicate with them as well. Animal and plants के साथ भी उनकी communication हो पाती थी, because their third eye was fully open. सारी connection बहुत, spiritual connection बहुत strong थी. So all this shows the utopic nature of Atlantis. I'm sure you will agree that it was truly an ideal place to live in. The people were very ideal. Humans were very advanced spiritually. And I come to the end of today's session. And in the next session, I will be exploring whether Atlantis was a myth or a reality. And what is the relevance of Atlantis in today's world. So thank you for joining in. Any questions anyone would like to ask?
Thank you, Meenu, for a wonderful session. It's letting us know so many things about Atlantis.
Welcome.
So good morning, Meenu.
Good morning, Samina ji.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask this question, but you already answered that. Was it a myth or reality?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll wait for the next session. But
Right.
what I wanted to ask was, one is the author's name, and second is, have you read the book?
Sir Thomas More.
Yes.
Sir Thomas More wrote on Utopia. He did not write on Atlantis.
Okay.
So Atlantis, there are other authors which I will be talking about in the next session. The first knowledge that comes it is from that Greek philosopher Plato. So first mention of Atlantis was from his work. So uske baad many others picked it up and they tried to understand. So how do we understand that? Also, I'll be talking in the next session. So knowledge आई है, but अभी fully believe nahi hota it existed, but I would like to believe that it existed. Yes.
Of course, even I like it's a very pleasant name, and I think at the time in some parts, not very, I almost tried to live like that.
Okay.
No this, but now with all that is lost, and I don't know how I will go revive that stage.
We have the power to revive. That is what I've understood. So the 12 chakras are still there, dormant, but they are still there. So they need to be reactivated.
They were in the 5 stage, but I was in the 0 minus stage. But I had reached somewhere, as I said, a little closer. But I'm losing it. I've lost it.
No, just need to put in the effort again and it will be revived. Nothing is ever lost.
Yeah, nothing is impossible. So thank you.
Our spiritual connect, especially, it is never lost. It's like thoda sa छुप सकता है, डॉर्मेंट हो सकता है, but it's always there.
Thank you.
Welcome.
मीनू जी, आपने मेंशन किया 64,000 का कुछ रेलेवेंस है,
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
आज आप बताएंगे कि नेक्स्ट सेशन में?
वो नेक्स्ट में बताऊंगी, because that is connected to how it is affecting us now. So I would like to leave it till then.
You have generated so many curiosity.
Yes.
और आपने ये भी कहा कि हम सब कहीं ना कहीं कनेक्टेड हैं वो
Thank
वाले
you.
एरा से, एटलांटिस से।
जी.
तो अभी पॉपुलेशन तो बहुत ज्यादा हो गई है 64,000 से पूरे
हाँ
वर्ल्ड में,
जी, हाँ जी,
तो
बिल्कुल.
वो भी आप एक्सप्लेन करिए।
Right.
और
Because then I'll have to go into more deep explanations, so I would like to be prepared for that then.
एंड बहुत आपने ये भी मेंशन किया कि पास्ट लाइफ रिग्रेशन में बहुत लोगों का एटलांटिस कनेक्शन निकलता है, और
Yes.
मैं बहुत स्ट्रांगली बिलीव करती हूँ, बहुत इंट्यूटिवली, कि ये सब हम लोग सब थे उस समय में थे।
Yes,
ऐसा
because it
मेरा अंडरस्टैंडिंग
lasted, it's supposed to have lasted for like more than 2 lakhs years, 2,40,000 years. So that's a very long period where a civilization survived. Because हमारी भी अभी knowledge जो है 10,000 years से beyond कम ही है. So like we know we have existed for eons because the gods were there and everything, but हमारी knowledge, we don't have knowledge as such about it. But when you go into the past life, तो कईयों का Atlantis connection निकलता है.
या लिमोरियंस या एटलांटिस, दो निकलते हैं मोस्टली। एंड आपने डेमी गॉड्स वर्ड यूज किया, तो फिर आपने कहा बहुत अच्छे ह्यूमंस थे, बहुत अच्छे थे, पर आपने स्टार्ट डेमी गॉड से किया, फिर आप ह्यूमंस पे आ गए, तो जस्ट आई वाज
So as I said, it was an experiment to see if those gods could survive the divine, like each soul is considered to be a spiritual being. So there we are gods, demigods, and we are not full gods, but demigods. So how could they survive in the human form? वो experiment था Atlantis का. So they were not in their divine form. They were transmuted into the human form to see if those gods, those spiritual beings could survive over here. And how long could they maintain their spirituality? That was basically the experiment.
तो उस केस में जैसे हम लोग जीसस क्राइस्ट या राम भगवान या कृष्णा का कहते हैं, वो सब ह्यूमन बॉडी में ही आए, कुछ भी, तो
but
उस केस में इस एरा में भी आए।
they are later ones. This is earlier than that, before it all started, before the human life, you could say, as we know it, came into existence. This was before that. So it was an experiment to see, तो कुछ तो success हुआ तभी, और फिर ह्यूमन फॉर्म्स आने लग गए।
वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, मेरा बहुत इंटरेस्ट है इसमें, और आज आपने बड़ा अच्छा बताया, एंड लुक फॉरवर्ड टू नेक्स्ट सेशन। थैंक यू।
So I think we should wind up now, Shabana ji.
Yeah.
I think you should keep on talking about this for 1.5 hours more, because
it will become too much then, too overpowering for everyone. बहुत सारी information हो जाएगी.
And we keep on listening, no question, nothing, because it's very interesting. With Atlantis, I thought maybe some crisis or environmental crisis, something like the topic. I thought I didn't have any idea of it, not even much. But now, right now, it's like it's so powerful, and like, and if someone had spiritual connections in their past, I mean, they just have to access it. जैसे हम electronics access करते हैं, तो वैसे ही हमें उसको access ही तो करना है, मतलब ऐसे it's not easy journey, but तो मतलब जिस चीज के लिए हम सारी जिंदगी मतलब we struggle, not exactly struggle, we actually we don't get the way out. So I mean, it's amazing, ma'am. Such बहुत actually best, बहुत अच्छा मजा आया जब के सेशन में, बहुत ज़्यादा।
Thank you. तो वो it is basically that अपनी spirituality बढ़ानी पड़ेगी, तभी हम कुछ कर पाएंगे। Which is very difficult, because आप देखो meditation करने ही बैठते हो तो होता ही नहीं, ध्यान ही नहीं लगता, तो अपने से connection हो ही नहीं, तब ego comes in, तो बहुत effort डालने की जरूरत है।
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming and enlightening us. You
Yes,
guys have
Uday
also
ji.
said something.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी उदय जी.
हाँ हाँ मैडम, आपने ये सब बताया, वो सब इंडिया में भी तो हुआ है पहले, बहुत पहले ये
जी
सब
जी
है इस तरह।
जी जी बिल्कुल.
हाँ, तो उनके बारे में अगले सेशन में बताइए जरा।
जी जी जरूर बिल्कुल. मतलब इंडिया का कनेक्ट है बहुत. लेट्स सी क्या है. Because if you see the जो उन्होंने concept दिखाया how Atlantis was made with center में palace with moats all around, तो जो हमारा द्वारका का जो lost city of द्वारका है उसका भी concept कुछ वैसे वैसे ही है. So there is a connect over there. So I have to still understand the connect. So we'll talk about in the next session then.
थैंक यू मैम।
Thank you everyone for joining in then. So we'll can